Zaddy Zone, welcome to the Zaddy Zone. Zaddy Zone, welcome to the Zaddy Zone. Ah!
Wow.
Yeah, I just needed to get that out of my head because it's always in my head. The best podcast intro.
Well, I sang it, so. Did she have something else to say?
Oh yeah, yeah. Here we go.
That's fine, yeah, that's good. No, I just want to. She was saying nice things, so I want to keep going.
Hi, Luke. My name's Sarah. I
Hi,
just
Sarah.
wanted to say thank you for making your podcast. I love it. And I just listened to your solo episode and I really, really resonated with a lot of what you said. So thank
Oh,
you. And it made me think about how much of an asshole I can be and have been.
I was going to say.
I am highly defensive.
Oh.
That's something that I just need to work on in my life.
Hmm.
So there's just been times where like I've ruined my own day by being so stubborn and like just a dick for no reason to like the
You can
people
pause it
that I
there,
love.
Shane. This is now becoming a therapy podcast. I want you to call in and tell me what a piece of shit you are, and I'm going to talk you through why you're not. Welcome to this episode of the Zaddy Zone, where we're taking hotline calls about what a piece of shit you are. thelukecook.com/hotline if you ever want to add to it. It is a lot of fun. You only get a minute and a half, and we've had how many people call in? We had like 40 people, 50 people? 50 people call in and tell us what a terrible human being they are, and we're gonna go through and listen to a few beauties today, absolute rippers. But in the meantime, yesterday was Super Bowl. Today's Monday. We're probably releasing this on Wednesday, and I just want to say, if an entire culture, if an entire country is cracking one joke, try not to crack that joke because everyone else is cracking it. So because it was a Rihanna halftime show yesterday, and so the amount of people who were like, "Can't wait to watch the Rihanna show today," with a bit of football, or how like what an honor for these athletes to be playing at a Rihanna concert. Like everyone cracking the exact same joke. I just want to say, be an individual. If you notice that everyone's cracking the same joke, don't perpetuate the joke. Think of a new one. Also, if you're going to crack a joke, try and make it funny. Jokes don't have to be funny, by the way. Some jokes fall flat, and that's okay. But just try and be an individual. Sorry, I feel like I went off track there a little bit. But oh shit, she's back. No, come on, Sarah. Yeah, please.
Because I view many things as an attack. And I think that comes from a place of insecurity.
Mm-hmm. I'm a therapist
So
now.
yeah,
That's literally what
being
happened.
able to make fun of
I'm a
yourself is
therapist now.
something that's I've been trying more to do. And that's
Mm-hmm.
also why I think you're so great because you are fucking hilarious
Oh my
and you know how
god.
to make fun of yourself. And that's something I really respect.
Mm. It's a therapy session for her and a fluffing session for me. You call in and give me your compliments for me, and I tell you that you're okay. So never mind, Sarah. You're stubborn, but we love you. What's next, Shane?
Okay, so I was in high school. I used to work at the mall, as did every high schooler. The
Okay.
store I worked at was called Papaya. I'm pretty sure it's been closed down for years at this
Papaya.
point. Anyway, so we
Yeah.
would get a lot of bratty
Tribal wear.
teenagers in the store. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of like, oh my God, Mom, why can't you let me buy this? Like, oh my gosh, I hate you. Very, very much that.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to work in the fitting rooms because I'm dyslexic and I can't count money. Anyway, so whenever I got those really bratty and rude teens, what I would do is I would always check the fitting rooms before, we let them in, see if there's anything left in there, see if it's dirty. But what I would do is I would crop dust. I would crop dust the fitting room before letting them in. I'm like, I feel like that's like the least I could do for like the moms, I feel like that was the least I could do. Anyway, like it's not horrible, but like
No, it's not.
reparations.
It's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's genius. Because the thing is that somebody's coming into the fitting room and they're like, they wouldn't assume that it's you. They would think that it's the person who was in the fitting room before you. An absolute genius place to fart, because no one would suspect for some reason the person who works in retail to be farting in the fitting rooms. Absolutely genius. Is that how she's a terrible person? I think she's a high IQ individual. Next.
Okay, so when I did caregiving for school, I had this one patient where I farted like really loud, and
There's a theme here.
pretty much she thought it was her. So I think that's like the worst thing I ever did. Honestly, I'm a pretty good person, but who really knows? What do you think?
Yes, you're a terrible person because you should let her know that it wasn't her. That would make you a good person. But I just love that you left her thinking it was her. And also, you have to use your imagination with this one, because who's the patient who, if somebody else farts, thinks it's them? That's an old person because old people have really loose buttholes and they don't know when farts fall out of them. Like, farts fall out of old people. We push them out as young people. Where you got a solid colon, you push a fart out, or you control it out. You know how you can control a fart? Like, you can actually, there's a fart coming and you're like, there are people around, I don't want them to hear it. So you just control that colon so the air just, that is the sign of youth. Now, the sign of an old person is somebody else farting and they think it's them. And you're a terrible person if you let them think that it was them. But then again, no, maybe not, because maybe you're not a terrible person if you let them think it's them, because they don't have any shame anyway. So it's like, well, I have shame about it. Why don't you just take my shame upon you?
I agree.
That's Shane, by the way. Shane Hannigan, my producer, is on the mic today. That's the first thing he said, though. I've been waiting for him to say something, and I agree is the first thing he says. Do you have a tight colon, Shane? You control farts very well?
Oh, best.
Wow.
Top of the line.
I hate how he's dropping in like with this deep, sexy Californian thing. And I'm this nasally Australian.
No. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Guys are taking over Hollywood.
Wow. It's sexy. Let's see. Jury's hung on whether you're a terrible person or not. You let them, it's smart to let them take your shame upon them, because they don't have any shame. When you're that age, you don't care about farting. My mum has had 5 children, and she'll fart in front of anybody and just go, well, that's life, isn't it, darling? And that's how she does it. No shame at all. And then she'll tell everyone, well, I've had 5 children and my bowels have dropped. And her explanation of farting has no shame about it whatsoever, and it really makes everybody quite comfortable. So I think, a jury's hung. I'm not sure if you're a terrible person or a good person.
I envy those. I envy those who just let it rip in public.
Yeah, and don't.
It's just shameless, you know?
Old people are the only people who can do that. They fart and they don't even laugh. Like, they fart around you and and they think it's weird that you notice. Next.
So today at work, I was talking with one of my colleagues, and we were talking about exes, right? She was telling me that at one time she forgot to reply to her ex for like a week or two, and that she didn't really like meeting them every day because she needed her space. And I thought she was kind of joking, so I jokingly, but like also with a very serious face, asked her, like looked at her and asked her, what made you like this? What's wrong with you? And then, yeah, it turns out she has autism. Then there is a customer who usually doesn't
wait.
come in to pick up.
Wait. Turns out she has autism. I wasn't understanding the story. So she said that. Can you explain it to me? No, don't play it again, because I don't understand what she's saying. She's saying that her friend was telling her that she doesn't want to hang out with her ex because she needs her space.
Yeah, so essentially, she was saying that she was at work and a friend of hers was telling, like, she just like ghosted this guy, it kind of sounded like, but didn't respond for like a week, and it was was an ex or something like that.
Oh,
and so yeah, she she responded with, "Why are you like this?" And then that's when she found out.
But she was joking and just saying it in a soft way, like, "Why are you like this?" And the woman has autism.
I can't tell as far as like the inflection of whether she thought it was appropriate or like a legit response. I don't know.
One year I went to a party and we were all playing Celebrity Heads, and it was playing with a bunch of people that I didn't really know, and it was very fun. And there was one guy who was incredible at Celebrity Heads, or it was like a guessing game about like, what movie is this? And you had to like acted out, and this guy knew every movie. And I was like, bro, you're incredible at this game. You're like autistic. And everyone just went quiet. Everyone was like, and I was like, oh. And that was it. That's all I needed to know. Everyone going quiet was, you could have just gone, oh, I am autistic. Or they could have gone, he is autistic. But everyone just went quiet. And I was like, okay, that's my answer. He's autistic. But he was incredible at this game. Like, he just knew movies straight off the top of his head. Like, it's just like, I was like, this guy's beyond. And he was. Anyway, so I'm always amazed at that, right? Because it's like, surely that's a compliment. Like, it's like, I'm saying, like, you're brilliant.
Yeah.
At picking this up. You're so brilliant that it's like, it's almost unnatural.
Well, what was his response?
He just was, well, he was stiff in the face. He was also, I guess, maybe offended, or he just didn't want to admit that he was autistic. He didn't want to have to say, like, yeah, I'm autistic, bro. I don't know.
How did you handle it?
I was just like, the way I handle everything is when I fuck up, I'm like, on to the next. Can we just move on? And we move on, and then I stew in it, and then it keeps me awake.
Right.
So the way that it works is, like, I say something stupid. I mean, I still, like, jolt awake. You know, when you go to bed, I'll go to bed at 9:30 nowadays. I go to bed at around 10 p.m. I go, when I'm just drifting off, and I jolt myself awake. It's either one of two things. It's either sharks, like an image of a shark in my head, like I'm swimming and a shark comes up, or I remember a terrible joke. Mm-hmm. Or just a terrible thing that I've said. And I've said so many. So some nights can be really bad. If anybody's interested in this and how to go against this movement in your brain of overthinking before bed, GABA is the supplement for you. I need to take more of it because there is...
Cancellation nightmares.
Cancellation nightmares, but also when you're a person who is, I don't know, in comedy or is funny.
Right.
You have to think like 90% of the jokes, you have to think like you're going to try and crack jokes that won't work. Mm-hmm. So much of the time, they won't work. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens that I am a person who is equally sensitive about cracking a bad joke, and I love to crack a good one. So I'm willing to take the risk in order to, like, I might crack a bad one. So for instance, the other day I learned this the other day when I was working with Patton Oswalt on set of Hacks. And we were surrounded by stand-up comedians who were playing themselves, except for me. I was the only actor amongst them. And I noticed how often Patton Oswalt would crack a joke. Like, not while we were rolling at all. He would crack a joke that didn't get any laughs from anyone. Like, just as casually just hanging around with people. He would crack jokes and wouldn't get a laugh from anyone, and he wouldn't give a shit. It'd be like, okay. And then 2 minutes later, he'd try and crack another one. And maybe it would work. Right. And he's a super funny person. Obviously, we all know the name Patton Oswalt, and the reason we do is because he's brilliant. But what I took away from it was like, this guy is willing to crack a bad joke. He's willing to go there to crack a bad joke. The difference between me and Patton Oswalt is, though, it doesn't keep him awake at night. It keeps me awake at night. And that's why I crack about, 75% less jokes than Patton Oswalt.
We could all learn something from Patton Oswalt.
I think we all could. Next.
Then there is a customer who usually doesn't come in to pick up stuff, but just calls the store and tells us that he's there, and then we need to carry heavy stuff out to his car and put it in the trunk, and he never gets out of the car. So I was telling my colleagues that how fucking rude of this guy, because he never ever comes into the store to help us with the heavy stuff.
I know
he
where
always
this is
just
going.
waits in the car and lets us do the heavy lifting, doesn't even open the trunk for us. So I was just complaining like how fucking rude.
Yeah, what an asshole. Tell me about it.
My colleague tells me that, but that's really hard for him to get out of the car because he doesn't have legs. And I was like, it's still like within 1 hour from the previous conversation. And so that was my day. That's my story of
this is every day. Person. You are a terrible person. We're all terrible people. This is everyday stuff that you just don't have the understanding of thinking about who the other person is who's demanding things of you. And we don't know how the conversation goes with the phone call. When he picks up the phone and he's like, I'm out the front. Maybe he is an asshole. Maybe he's like, bring out the packages now. But everyone's thinking, oh, poor him, he has no legs. We don't know how he's talking to these people, telling them to bring out things, bring out the stuff and put it in his car. But I think that you've done a very human thing in going, assuming the worst and going, he's just an asshole who wants us to bring his stuff out to his car and can't be bothered coming in and picking it up himself. In truth, he has no legs. So you should feel bad about it. I mean, you should feel bad about... I don't know the details of the story. I don't know how he called. I'll tell you a story. Oh, this is a rough one. We know this one. So my producer, Shane, we've known each other since we were like 19, 20. And we were models together in New York. And it sounds glamorous. It wasn't. We were staying in a 2-bedroom apartment and there were about 8 or 10 of us. It fluctuated. Models, like, who were all around about the same age. Anyway, one day I got some, I had some money, which was a rare thing. We were all poor as shit. We were living off carrots and cocaine, and literally, and water. We looked great, but we were poor. And so one day I had money. I think my dad had sent me like $100 via Western Union, which made me feel rich. It was my birthday too, so I was feeling good. I had $100 in my pocket. And there was a homeless guy who always was right by our apartment. We were 4 stories up, and he had no legs, and he was in a wheelchair, and I gave him $20.
No. He had one leg. One leg Willie.
One leg Willie. Sorry, you're right. I forgot the name. He had one leg, and I gave him, he asked for some money, and I gave him $20, which was 1/5 of my money at the time, right? He did not say thank you. And that irked me. Remember, I'm 20 here, so don't get all judgy, all right? I didn't know anything about the world. But wait, maybe you can judge me when I tell you what I did to him. Okay, so I go up 4 flights of stairs, and somebody's got a BB gun. It's an action BB gun. You pump it, right? You used to pump this BB gun. And so I'm up on the 4th floor, and they're kind of shooting like pigeons and stuff, like not killing the pigeons, but just down on the ground and stuff. They're shooting stuff. And I'm like, give me that. And because I see one-legged Willie. I go, give me that gun. And so I pump it. And I see him down there. And he's got a puffy jacket on, so it was probably okay.
It's wintertime.
And I pointed and I nailed him in the chest. He was hit by the BB. And I've thought about it ever since and gone, wow, what a piece of shit I was. However, he could have said thank you.
That's a nighttime cancellation nightmare right there.
Right. Why am I admitting this? But I'm just saying the whole, you're presuming, you thought he was an asshole before you knew he didn't have legs, which kind of like, it's not fair to call you a terrible person based on that. You should have had more understanding and thought, what's their situation? I knew one-legged Willie's situation. I still shot him with a BB gun. Next. I wonder if this will get me cancelled. Like, I mean, that's a terrible thing to do.
My father lives in Alabama, or did, and as a kid, I would go to him in the summers and work. So I started dating somebody over there in Alabama over the summer.
Ew.
And when I came back to Texas, they cheated on me. So the next summer, when I came back, the girl he cheated on me with was a coworker of both of us. So she knew, and he knew. So I felt they both deserved it. I told him I was in town again and that I missed him, which got him to meet with me and then break up with the girl he cheated on me with. And then I played it coy without ever sleeping with him. I got him to tell me that he was in love with me, and then I ghosted him. And both him and the girl had really rough few months from that.
Does she provide a name? Don't tell me. It's not. It's anonymous.
No, we didn't get a name.
You're a terrible person, and let me tell you why. This is what rubs me the wrong way about what you did. That was long form manipulation. You actively had him. You were dating him in order to get him back, which is like horrible. That's long form. That's psycho stuff. I mean, I know that you're not a psycho because we can all do it.
I don't know the laugh there at the end.
The laugh, the evil laugh. And I know. I played Lucifer. You gave one of those laughs, but it's the long form manipulation for me. Like, how long was that? 2 weeks? A month that you were waiting for him to say, I love you so you could ghost him? I totally get it, though. I mean, if somebody cheats, being cheated on is one of the worst feelings a person could possibly feel. That level of rejection and that level of like betrayal is so hideous to feel. But I just want to say, like, you know, the way that you get a person back with that is that you throw a glass of water in their face and you say, fuck you, you piece of shit. You're an awful human being. I hope you understand the way that you hurt me. You don't get them to date you again for a month in order for them to tell you that they love you and then ghost them. That is psychopathic. That's narcissistic, personality disorders and things like that. That's terrible human being stuff. Thanks for admitting it.
And she got to go back to Texas while they were in Alabama. So it's like they're already dealing with that, right?
What are you saying?
I mean, she got to go back to Texas while they had to stay in Alabama. I mean,
oh, right. She gets to leave hell.
Yeah.
But I guess when you're going between Alabama and Texas, it's same to me.
Right. Well, we
Alabama's
do love
just
you.
Like,
we do love people there, though.
Oh, don't get me wrong. If I'm thinking of moving there, I think I'm thinking of moving to Texas. Like, that's I'm only mocking it because everyone else mocks it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
I had a crush on one of my brother's friends. He's 6 years older than me, and this happened 10 years ago, and I'm currently 32.
Okay.
I messaged
You
him,
were 22.
knowing very well that he had a girlfriend, fiance, of many years. Let's say they were together for like 8 years or more. And I didn't expect him to say anything back to me, but he did. And we ended up starting this kind of relationship while he was still engaged to his fiance.
Oh my God.
And the night of his wedding, right before, I was with him. And yes, we had sexual relations. But it continued after. It continued after they got married. It continued another 6 more months until we decided, okay, we're kind of like over this little fling. But no one knows about it. Not my brother, not his wife, apparently. It's pretty shitty, but yeah, I was totally okay with being someone's mistress and or side piece for a while. I'm a bad person.
Ave Maria, Ave. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Forgive me, Father, for you have sinned. You're a terrible human being. That is so bad. The night before a wedding? Oh.
Wow.
Heinous. It makes me feel ill because like I can picture what that would be like and the heartbeat, the intensity of the betrayal and the naughtiness. Nothing gets the heart and body going like naughtiness. Like those few heartbeats before you kiss somebody you've never kissed before who you shouldn't kiss. Oh. Or when you're about to have sex with that person, the heartbeats. You're hearing heartbeats in your head, you know, like ding, 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 and you could feel it. You're like, oh my gosh, am I doing this? And you did it! Not just the night of, but the 6 months after. You're a terrible human. Thanks so much for admitting it, though. It makes for great TV. That's insane. Anything to say on that, Shane?
I just hope she can move on from this now that she's finally confessed.
Okay. I've got something. I think I've done something like this. Okay, so I was in Melbourne. I'm from Sydney. I was in Melbourne for a time, and I was staying. I was having fun with a few friends, 2 women, and one of them was recently engaged to an arsehole. And we were over at their house, their apartment, and he was just, he's an arsehole. He was an ex-swimmer, Olympian, and kind of loved himself and didn't treat her very nicely. They were engaged, and anyway, we're all going home, and the two women are like, "Oh, we'll take you home." Ash was like, "Well, I'll take him home," and she takes me home, and I had sex with her on my stairs on the way up to the apartment.
Wow.
Naughty, not good, shouldn't be admitting it.
What about
But I did it.
Post engagement?
No. Once they, that's a good question. No. Once they got married, they were married for 5 weeks.
Ooh.
Yeah, 5 weeks.
Okay. Well, you may have done them a favor.
No, yeah, maybe. I mean, we did each other a favor. We wanted to have sex with each other. It was nice to each other. It didn't make me feel bad.
Oh.
Because I'd seen what an asshole he was.
Right.
But also, morally, you should let somebody figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't actively influence them to have sex with you so you can influence their lives. In the end, though, I found out she actually slept with hundreds of men.
Ooh.
Yeah, she was a sexually liberated person.
Well, I hope you wore protection.
I think I did.
I'm sure you did.
On the stairs? I think we were on the stairs.
That's quick.
I don't think I did.
That's the heat of the moment right there.
I can't remember. Anyway, nothing's flared up.
Yeah, you're good.
I think so.
I've never noticed any cold sores on your face, so.
You just don't know, though. It can lay dormant. And there's no shame in that also. I think the horrible thing about, I don't know why I'm going on about this, but I think the horrible thing about herpes, and I have a few friends who have herpes, I may have it, you just don't know, is that it's a lifelong thing, and it can really F with their heads because they've got to admit it early on dates. They on the second date, the first date went really well, and they're like, by the way, I know you want to have sex, but in order before we can do that, you should know that I have herpes. And it can just really F up their lives. And so...
That's big of them to do it, though. Good for them.
To tell them?
Not being a total piece of shit and just, foregoing.
Yeah.
The conversation's going to be so bad, I can't do it.
Right. It is a super hard conversation. I've talked to a few of my friends and go, why are you doing it? Why are you telling them? They just let them, but I'm like, you're right. That's the right thing to do. My friend, he used to get STD tests and ask them to not test for herpes because he just didn't want to know. And he was a piece of shit. His name is Mike, but I'm not going to say what his last name is because that would be confessing on behalf of him. And if he wants to call into the show, he can call into the show.
Shout out, Mike.
Mike. I'm not going to say the last name. I came close, though. Because the thing about that is actually is that he's testing himself for STDs, which is good because he doesn't want to have sex with a partner with an STD, but he doesn't want to know if he has all of them, just in case he does, because it'll F up his mind. So in a way, he's a good person, but then he's a horrible person at the same time.
This story takes place when I was 21, and it was my first boyfriend at the time, and I get a message from him. He's basically saying that on his night out, he was on a night out the night before.
A night out.
And got really, really drunk.
Uh-huh.
And he kissed a guy, or a guy had kissed him.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't really remember the details. But this guy somehow had his number, and he messaged him the next morning and basically said, I had a really nice time, and I loved getting to know you, and whatever else. And he sent me screenshots, whatever else, and told me that he blocked him, and whatever. That was that. And I was in shock at the time, so I didn't really respond. So I get home, he comes over, he has pizza, he's brought flowers and everything else, and he's crying, and it's all very emotional, and I'm kind of just blank, and I kind of use it as an excuse to just end things, and then that's over, and he leaves, and he's crying, and he calls me, and he goes, I nearly crashed my car, and I'm like, oh, okay, all the while not telling him that the night before his night out, I was also out, and had also kissed a guy. So technically, I did it first.
Yes. I mean, that's relatable as shit. You are a terrible person, but that's good. I mean, that's just the way that it goes. And you know what? He deserved it because he was pathetic about it. Bringing flowers over and all that stuff and and then giving you the flowers and also, hold on a second. I want to understand the story before we go on with the judgment. And that's what this is, by the way. This isn't therapy. This is pure judgment, and it's me. Okay, so He kisses a guy on a night out. The night before you've kissed a guy, you don't tell him that. He sends you screenshots from the guy he kissed saying, I by the way, Barb, darling, I kissed a guy last night. I feel horrible about it. Here's the screenshots. He's messaged me. I've blocked him. It's too much information. Why would you need to confess every bit of that? I kissed a person last night will do it. I kissed a guy last night and here's screenshots of his texts to me after saying he had a great time. Had a great time last night. Look, he had a great time. I want you to know I blocked him. Why are you telling her all this? She doesn't need to know. Just say you kissed a person last night. You feel horrible about it. Also, there's a thing about looking for forgiveness from people. You're just looking to like relieve yourself of the burden of knowing what you've done. Sometimes it is more selfless to hold on to that bad thing that you did and just like not burden the other person with it. She never needed to know you kissed anybody at all. You kissed somebody. Now, if you did anal, then you should probably tell her. But the kiss is it's a kiss.
Yeah, definitely let her see.
Kisses. Child's play.
Video, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's video of us fucking last night. I feel terrible about it. I'm so sorry. And then you bring over like flowers, and the flowers is... The most pathetic thing about this guy is him nearly crying and nearly crashing his car on the way home. I'm sorry. Like, that is so pathetic. And this is big brother advice, by the way, that I'm giving you. It's okay for a guy to cry and nearly crash his car that he's crying so much.
But leave it out.
But the thing is that he brought it upon himself. He didn't need to tell you that he kissed anyone, but he tells you that he kissed a guy. Then he brings you flowers. Then you break up with him. He's weeping. He gets in the car and he starts crying. Nearly crashes the car because he's English, right? Because they're English. Nearly crashed the car. Pulls over. Sends you the text that he nearly... See, it's all too much information. You never needed to text her that you were weeping so much you nearly crashed. He may not have.
I think it's a lie.
Maybe it's a lie. It would have been equally pathetic if it was a lie. Whether it's the truth or not, both pathetic. So glad you broke up with him, by the way. And you know what? You were wise about it. You kissed a guy, it didn't mean anything. You didn't need to tell him, so you didn't. He feels the need to confess to you because he's being selfish and he wants to be forgiven. And you know, chances are this guy is now gay. So you've done him a huge favor by breaking up with him and letting him know that like it's okay, go on your journey, live your life, but not with me. And he's probably a beautiful, like, out there gay man who isn't weeping anymore or nearly crashing their car. He's a less pathetic person thanks to you. I think what you did was wise. It was streetwise more than morality-wise. I think in the books you're wrong, like a naughty person. But streetwise, you did the right thing. Don't tell him that you kissed another bloke. It doesn't mean anything. And he shouldn't have told you that he kissed a bloke. I kissed a bloke and I liked it. Hope my boyfriend doesn't cry and weep and nearly crash his car. Next. These are good. How many more have we got?
This isn't so much my own story, but I have been dealing with Mr. Peter Pan for the last about 11 years.
Ooh.
And one of the things that sticks out the most to me, I was taken to Miami on my birthday. And of course, I'm in heaven. I'm on a cloud. I tanned. I frolicked. I loved. I was in heaven. Until the Apple Watch I bought him, which looked literally the exact same as mine, got a text message from his friend.
Oh.
A boy.
Wow.
At like 12 a.m. saying, I'm horny.
Oh.
So when someone came out and said hello and asked, hey, what's going on? Someone got very upset. And then I proceeded to go back into the bathroom to just pee like a normal human being. And when I came out,
That's it?
Yeah, we lost her.
No.
I know. Come back.
Where are you? Where are you? Come back, finish the story. I need to know what happens at the end of this. Guys don't message other guys. Straight guys don't message other guys. I'm horny. That's not what we do. Have I ever messaged you that?
No.
Why? Because we're not gay.
I wish.
I mean, I would tell you in person, actually. I would say, God, I'm so horny. Like, maybe I'd do that. But if I text you alone, like just a lone message, not out of no context, I'm horny.
At 12 a.m.
You're right. We all know what that means. It means I want you to come and, not you, in that story, that he wants that guy wants to come and please him. He wants to get his horniness out on your Peter Pan, as you describe him. I need to know what happens next. He's angry, upset that you found out. Now, you also, of course, you don't get angry if you aren't caught. Like, if it's just like, yeah, he's just a mate. He's just right, I'm horny. Who cares? You don't get angry. You just
TJ's horny.
You just go, Shane's horny. Like, who cares? It's fine. But he got angry. Then you went and peed. It's a good thing to do. Take your break, separate. He needs to breathe. You need to breathe. Then come back. And then what happens? I need you to come back and tell us what happens. Because, yeah, that's an amazing moment. I mean, it seems like there's a theme about... an ongoing theme about women calling in about gay boyfriends or bisexual boyfriends.
Do you think that the guy was like there with him when she came out of the bathroom, and it was like maybe this was just a way to have some sort of like a triangle of gladness?
Oh, you mean was he in Miami?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's entirely possible that this was a triangle holiday.
Yeah.
Like he'd taken her to Miami for her birthday,
It
right?
just so happens that the horny guy from 12 a.m.'s here.
Right, because why would you... Here's the other thing about it. Why would you message another guy, I'm horny, unless you can do something about it? It's a really annoying message to get from across the country. It's like, I'm horny. It's like, well, I'm in Miami, so what do you want me to do about it? Unless he's in Miami, too. And he's like, babe, I'm just going to go down to the gym. Going to get some cardio in.
Gonna go hang out with Jim.
Going to go hit the glutes. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Okay, well, I need you to call back in, darling. Great story. It is interesting, women dating men and finding out that the men are gay or bisexual. It's always an interesting story. And it's often very sad. I do notice that. Like, it's often very like, you need to be living your true self. And it's obvious that you're not. Like the guy weeping in his car, it's like, he wouldn't be as pathetic if he was living his truth. He's not living his truth. And, we're all pathetic when we're not living our truths. You ever dated someone you know that you're not supposed to be dating? It sucks. And you suck when you're dating them because you're not supposed to be there. And so, I highly recommend living your truth if possible.
Okay, here's a good one for you. I was with my fiance and I had my 2 children with me, and we went to go see one of my longtime girlfriends. We went to dinner. We drank a whole lot of alcohol, and we were getting ready to leave. And my fiance says, I'm going to take the girls to the car while you guys go to the bathroom. He stayed sober. Mm-hmm. We came out of the bathroom. My girlfriend looked at me and said, hey, we should do a shot. And I said, okay, let's do a shot. So we went to the bar. We did a shot. And then she decided, you know what? I want one more drink. Let's get a quick little cocktail and then we can go out to the car. So we both pounded a double mojito and went out to the car. And double on the way home,
that's big.
Everything became blurry.
Yeah, that's
and
4
sure
drinks.
enough, I held my head out the window and was throwing up profusely. My 7-year-old daughter, who's sitting in the back seat, says, Mommy, is it raining? Got home. Got out of the car. There was a perfect form of my child's shoulder and heads on the car seat from where I had thrown up, and the overspray had sprayed into the back seat all over her. She thought it was rain. We had to immediately get her to the shower. I am not proud.
That's brilliant. Wow. I know that feeling of hanging outside of the car window and spewing when you just drank too much. I know that. It's a shocking feeling. And especially when you're in an Uber and you're just spraying it all over the side of this random stranger's car But then doing it, and looking back at a little 4-year-old with vomit. And so mojitos are green. They're like limey green. And that's what color. Let's just say, but if you had red wine that night earlier during the dinner, you would have sprayed a reddish green, like a light red, all over your poor little 4-year-old. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing. Kara's niece. They had this story about when she was a toddler, and they went to a Salvation Army. Salvation Army's like vintage. I think we have them everywhere, but there's like vintage stores.
Yep.
And so in Australia, they were at one, and they put the toddler down for just a few seconds, and no one was in the store except for this other old man. And the old man, anyway. So later, they pick up the niece who was on the ground, being a toddler, and she's got chocolate in her mouth. And like, what do you got? What are you eating, darling? Could you get chocolate? It's poo. She's eaten poo. And they're like, where did that poo come from? The old man had done a shit in the Salvation Army. The toddler had eaten it. And then, and I think, by the way, part of the story is that they went, where'd you get that chocolate? Oh. And had dipped their finger in and gotten a little taste. So they all had to rush home and get the poo scraped out of the toddler's mouth because you can get many diseases from eating somebody else's poo. Mm-hmm. I'm fine. Like, I've never gotten a disease from it, but I think you can get diseases from it. I mean, I've got a sturdy immune system from eating poo, so it's hard to get me.
Yeah. That man was not an athlete, so you definitely didn't know.
Yeah, that wasn't a good poo. Like, there are people's poo that you would eat, like a Serena Williams. Like, that's some top-notch poo. You would eat that poo. It'd make you a better athlete, higher serotonin, great microbiome within it. But there are poo that you don't want to eat, and old people, that's poo you probably don't want to eat.
Not if they're pooping in Salvation Army.
Yeah, no. If you need to poo and you go into a Salvation Army, you don't find the toilet and you just poo in the Salvation Army, you're a terrible person. And yours poo is a poo that no one wants to eat. And that is a terrible thing to say to somebody. No one wants to eat your poo. Cop that, old man. You're an embarrassment. No one would eat your poo. Not if it was the last poo on earth, I wouldn't eat it.
Not if I was starving to death, and it was the only option.
Not if I was Tom Hanks on a castaway island and there was only one poo to be eaten. It was yours. I still wouldn't eat it.
We hope you're doing all right out there. If you're listening, old man.
If you're listening, old man, I'm sorry about that. No doubt they're playing the Zaddy Zone at the Salvation Army in Burwood, Sydney. Next.
My 3-year-old is mostly potty trained. He's still wearing nighttime pull-ups overnight. And
Understood.
basically I know I'm an asshole because before we got to this phase of potty training, when he would make a poopy in his underwear, it would be extremely difficult for me to deal with cleaning it up. Like, I would yell and have a mental breakdown in front of him, which I know is super unhealthy and does not reflect on me well as a person. And now it's to the point where every time that he poops in his overnight pull-up, he'll tell me, don't yell at me. I don't want you to smell my poop because you might yell. So that's how I know I'm an asshole. And like you said in your podcast, parenting definitely highlights that part of you. And like you also said in your podcast, I'm working on it. I'm really trying very hard to atone for that type of behavior and to also resist doing that in the future.
See? Kids, mate. Like a kid looking at you and saying, please don't get angry at me for this. That breaks my heart that he was like, please don't get angry. I've done a poo. I remember once, my mum was in town for Christmas, and we're trying to potty train Chaplin, so we're taking the nappy off more often, putting him in other things. He was without a nappy. He was without underpants at this time. And we were like, we're all running around the house doing other things. And he'd just done a poo on the floor. And somebody stepped in it and was like, oh! And he was still doing a second poo in a different location. and so I think my mum went like, oh! And so he's doing a second poo in a second location. And because everyone's like, oh, what's happened? What's happened? He just starts going and freaks out and starts crying. And the guilt, and so I have to, because I know, for some reason I can empathize with that so greatly, for being shamed that you pooed. So I come out and tell everyone, be quiet. Let him do the second poo. And everyone goes quiet and lets him do the second poo. And I'm like, it's okay, mate. You're allowed to poo. It's completely healthy to poo. Yesterday, we're out. He had undies on. We were out in my gym, and he just went over to the gym and stood somewhere a little way away from me, and then started weeing through his undies and created quite a little puddle. And I just looked at him and I was like, went to shout and was like, don't let him do it. And I go, good boy, because I just want him to feel good about releasing. I don't ever want him to feel like I shouldn't be doing it. It's a very human thing. I imagine there are a lot of people who feel a lot of shame around pooing, farting, peeing if they need to pee, based on things of their childhood where people were yelling at them if they pooed in the wrong place or pooed in their underpants or any of that stuff, or peeing the bed can be really shameful. Anyway, why am I talking? This is about what a terrible person we all are. So I'm just telling you what a great person I am. It's not in theme, but I understand so deeply about that, and it breaks my heart that your boy feels bad about doing a poo in his panties.
Yeah, that could be some future trauma for sure.
Anything can be fucking future trauma nowadays. Everything anyone talks about is I'm traumatized, trauma this, trauma that. It's you mean bad experience, or but totally. There's some trauma around poo and wee, and shame around that. Shame about being a human being. And, try not to feel ashamed of being a human being. We need to eat, we need to drink, we need shelter, we need clothes, we need people who love us, we need community, and we need to be able to poo and wee in peace.
Wow.
Wow. Give that, I'm an activist. Social justice. Let the people poo.
Okay, so I realized that I was an asshole when I was on a trip to Italy with my mother, a trip that she had helped to gift me for my 40th birthday. And she wanted to go to the Vatican, which I did not really want to do. I have PTSD from growing up Catholic, and I don't really enjoy big ticket touristy places like the Vatican.
Yep.
But I went because she wanted to go, and it was miserable, as I had assumed.
Full of pedos.
And after, we got gelato, and my mom was trying to take my photo as I was sitting outside eating my gelato. It was very hot. I was very irritated by the hordes of tourists. And she was in my face with her phone trying to take photos of her daughter on this special trip.
Yes.
And I got really annoyed, and I snapped at her, and I told her to stop taking my photo, and she wouldn't stop. And I said, just stop, knock it off, and eat your fucking gelato. And she started crying in the middle of Vatican City. And I sat there eating my fucking gelato, feeling like a fucking asshole, and realized I'm a total asshole. Yeah,
sweet.
I own it.
Thanks so much for that story. That's just great. I just love the idea of you're in one of the holiest places on earth, weeping over ice cream and yelling at your mum. It's brilliant. The most religious part of the world. And there you are screaming at her to eat your fucking ice cream. And I can just imagine 200 tourists who are nearby just going, the record scratches and everyone looks over at you yelling at your mum. I wonder what flavors you had. That's not important. I just to paint the picture of the story. Was it chocolate? And was it spilling down? And it was hot, so you were like, it was spilling down your thing. So that was part of the frustration too. Was like you were pissed off. It was too hot, too many tourists.
Take a picture.
Hate the Catholics, and also like it's spilling down your hands, and you try and lick it up, and she's taking pictures, and none of the pictures are looking good because you're licking up your hands, and she's continuing to take it, and while you're trying to lick it up, you're like, "Will you just sit down and eat your fucking ice cream?" I know the feeling. Heat, nothing like heat to piss me off. If it's too hot and I'm wearing pants, I will kill you. Anything to say on that, Shane?
That's why he's always wearing shorts.
I'm wearing shorts right now.
I got my asshole stuff out of the way at a young age. That sounds weird. But yeah, at 9, 10 was my moment. So about once a month, my 2 Irish cousin twins, they'd come over and we'd have a sleepover. And the older one, without a doubt, would always piss or shit his pants, while the younger one and I would stay awake and play video games, just up too late. And so this time he craps his pants, and on the nightstand is some chapstick. So Turd was kind of dangling out of his boxers, just rubbed a little bit of the chapstick on there, just a little bit, not enough to where you could even see it. Threw the cap back on, put it back on the nightstand. Next morning, little sister comes in. She's just hell. She's hell. Always is. That's her chapstick. Hey, your lips look a little chapped. Why don't you throw some chapstick on? Go ahead. Go for it. Throws it on. Now, we keep it together, dying laughing, though, after she leaves. And shit, it probably wasn't until about 15 years later that I tell her. Handled it very well.
Huh.
So yeah, but I got it out of the way. I'm a good guy now.
Yeah, that's naughty. This is for everybody wondering who that is. It's Shane, who's right in the room with me. So I have some questions, Shane. How old were you?
I want to say I was 9.
Okay, so young, and so the cousin was young too. Well,
Yeah.
he pooing his pants, so he would have been
Around the same age, yeah.
9 pooing his pants.
Honestly, it's a little.
Weird.
It's a little fucked up. I listen.
It's not fucked up. It's fucked up. Like, not of you. I mean, you're ingenious for thinking I want to put the poo in the chapstick. Like, that's genius. Like, that's like at that age, you're Bart Simpson menace. You want to have some fun. You do that. That's genius. Why is he shitting his pants at 9? That's what my question is. What's his name? You can't say.
I will not divulge that information.
Okay, fair.
He will remain anonymous.
Okay, fair.
If you want to dig into the family lineage or the family tree, go for it.
Also, we got to consider that he probably has some great poo at 9. Your sister was like, well, laughs on you, Shane. I've got an incredibly diverse microbiome now from using poo as a chapstick.
Very true, very true. Yeah.
You wonder why I never got sick any of those winters. It's because I used a bit of Jason's poo from the chapstick.
She didn't ever get sick, actually.
Really?
Now that you say it.
Really?
Yeah, no. Great.
Bingo.
Maybe we need to get her some of that now. She's been having some tummy issues.
Oh, has she?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of women have tummy issues. More likely to have tummy issues as a woman than a man for some reason. I don't know what that is exactly. But like the whole like I have a sore tummy thing is it's a very like because there's memes about it and mostly women post them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is.
But she handled it great.
She handled it great.
She just laughed it off.
You little shit. I remember like
oh no.
I remember like okay, so one night after work I was a bartender in Sydney and we'd had a fair few shots of Fernet and mezcal. And then we went back and smoked pot. And in Australia, pot is not like it is in California. It's not as strong, but I feel like that means that it can be a little bit naughty. Like, I don't know, people can put other things in it. Anyway, so whatever this pot was, it induced a dream in me where I got up and went to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And did a shit, but I didn't. I got up and didn't go to the bathroom. I went to the middle of my friend's kitchen floor and did a shit in the middle of their kitchen floor. They let me sleep on the couch. And the next morning, I kind of woke up in a daze. I was like, was that real? Nobody was awake yet. And I was like, oh shit, did I do a shit in the middle of the kitchen? Because I don't remember. I remember dreaming about going to the bathroom, but not actually going to the bathroom. Went out, kitchen floor, perfect little turd there. Picked it up with A New Idea, which is a type of magazine in Australia, wrapped it up, put it in the bin, went home, never told them. 2 years later, we gathered for drinks, and I go, by the way, I shat on your kitchen floor.
And they weren't like, oh, that's why there was a shit in the trash bin?
They all laughed. There was nothing mentioned about it other than that. Everyone just laughed. People do deal very well with poo in the past stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, poo-gons be bygones. Bygones be poo-gons. Moving on.
I was holidaying with my parents and staying in a 2-bedroom apartment with them. I was staying for free. And I got into a fight with them on the second last day of the trip, and there was silent treatment there for a long time. Well, from the fight through until when I left. I was so angry after the fight that I had to take a shower to cool down. And the rage continued in the shower. I felt the urge to go to the toilet, so I took a giant shit in the toilet. It was a good 3 solid logs, I reckon. I thought that I could waffle stomp them down the drain. Turned out that the drain wasn't quite like the Great Formation. The drain was quite thin. Anyway, it acted as like a clay sort of base, and it blocked the drain, and I couldn't get rid of it, so I just left it there.
Left it there for them to deal with. Wow, Are you a terrible human being? I'm trying to figure it out, actually.
Yeah, because he says the toilet, but then the shower.
Well, here's the thing. You're sober, right? You're not drunk and doing a waffle stomp. I've done a drunk waffle stomp. Me and my friends were 18. It was like one of our first times getting drunk. We drank a big thing of goon, which is like cask wine. And it's trash. It's absolutely trash. And my friend drove us home from the beach where we got drunk. I did a shit because I was so drunk and stomped it down the drain. It's called the waffle stomp in Australia. It's so common, we have a name for it. Because you're obviously, it's like a waffle. Anyway, yeah. So I stomped it on down. And the next day, it was my shower. So I came and smelled it. I was like, oh my God, I need to do something about it. And went to clean it. This person has had a fight with their parents. And in order to cool down, has gotten into the shower and needed to shit while they were there. So went and shat and stomped it down. This guy's sober, though. That's what's crazy about it. Like, you don't often do that when you're sober.
He's drunk on anger, though.
Yeah, this guy's a cold-hearted killer in many ways. Did he leave a name?
No, just a turd.
But I love how he remembers the amount of turds, 3 turds. And also,
solid logs.
I guess if you are... That shower is going to have troubles in the future if it has too many women with long hair in the family. Because a thin thing like that can get clogged so quickly. If it's getting clogged with your poo, that's not good plumbing.
It was on vacation. So some poor sap had to clean that thing up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel. Yeah, also the parents would have had to live with that smell for the duration of their holiday.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming they stayed after him. A terrific story. Could be a psychopath.
There was a night that I went home with a boy, and in the middle of the night, I had to take the hugest shit. And so I waited until he was snoring and blah, blah, blah. And I went into his bathroom, took the dump as quick as possible and as quiet as possible, just so he wouldn't wake up. I wouldn't be embarrassed, blah, 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 blah. So I'm doing this sneaky, quick poop. And then I look around, I look in cupboards, I look everywhere. There is no toilet paper, but his laundry is right in front. Like, it was a washer and dryer in front of me in the bathroom, and I definitely took out a shirt. Yeah, one of his t-shirts, and wiped my ass with it and put it in his dirty hamper at the very bottom.
Brilliant.
I mean, he didn't have toilet paper.
Yes.
Who's the terrible one here?
No harm, no foul. No harm, no foul. There was no toilet paper. What were you supposed to do? Right? It's like, okay, question, why didn't you have toilet paper in the first place? No doubt he's a single bachelor. I'm one of those idiots with just the mattress on the floor. I was one of those for many years. I know the feeling. And it's like, well, why don't you have toilet paper there? And then the great thing about you, because you've got an ingenuity about you, an industriousness, you grab just a shirt, give it a swipe. The great thing about a shirt is you can wipe at one area, look, okay, still stuff still there, and just keep on wiping at different spots of the shirt if you need it. There's lots of material to work with, exactly. Then you throw it in the dirty clothes, no harm, no foul. Maybe a bit of a smell there, a little bit. One wash, it's all gone.
She buried it.
You buried the evidence. Terrific work. I had to do the same thing once. A brief lover who I went over to their house, had to shit in the middle of the night, and then went in, and it's the worst feeling, by the way, because you really don't want to have to do a shit with them. And her roommate was a girl with a boyfriend who had FHM magazines, which I'm always amazed about. Like, you have titty magazines on the toilet where you live with your girlfriend, you cohabitate, and the girlfriend's like, yeah, cool, he should just have some titty magazines. Like, maybe the girlfriend likes it too, but I doubt it. Like, it's for him. Anyway, I used those. So, like, magazine material, that's what I had to use. And I flushed it. And no doubt it caused some issues with the plumbing. But it's like, well, I'm sorry, what am I supposed to do? Get some... Furthermore, and any plumber will tell you this, by the way, women are worse in the toilet than men. Women are more disgusting in the bathroom and the toilet than men. Men at least don't have all that hair that's going to clog up everything. But think about this, there were 2 women in that house and 1 guy, and they didn't have toilet paper either. So who's, I think we're all equally pathetic bachelors in a way, aren't we? Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of a wonderful episode of the Zaddy Zone. Our first of the hotlines, thelukecook.com/hotline. If you ever need to call in, here's the question that I want you to answer for me. It's been very poo related and very gay boyfriend related, which I like that. That's fun. Let's do another confession. Tell me about when you've done a shit in public. Shit your pants, anything like that. I want to hear about it. I love these stories. Tell me about it in a minute or less, preferably so it's quick, short, sharp, like a great poo.
And Lady Pan, Peter Pan's lady friend. I want you to call in and tell us what the hell happened at the end of that. We need to know. We must.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and give us 5 stars and subscribe and write a little note if you want to and tell us how much you love us. If you didn't enjoy this, don't do anything. We don't want to know what you thought of it. Don't rate it. Leave us alone. Love you.